down in that cemetery. Where? I may be wrong about that. She had it.
No, she has a large urn.
She still has it.
Yeah.
Okay, so she hasn't done it. Okay, now we have two small urns.
Yeah, and I have a small urn
And you go.
that I dripped some of the contents into the ocean.
Um,
Tore it open.
and that was I mean, what was your point in that?
Well, two things. The idea of well, I was already upset at the cremation itself, but since we had cremation, the idea of a burial at sea was something. The idea of dispersing some of the ashes out, like not drawn and quartered, but the idea like, oh, I want to sprinkle some ashes as far and wide for Jake as I can because of it's in opposition to his locality here, right? Meaning that Jason's whole life was kind of a Salt Lake life. And then the second reason was based on this umbrage that I had with Molly about when Jake had time off of work for about 10 days. Jake and I had planned that we would go take a 4 to 5 day trip down to Venice, maybe 3 to 4 day trip. And Molly, for no explained reason, just control. Or, Jake said, oh, she thinks you're going to go, hook me up with beach babes and get me drunk or to help me cheat on her or something like that, right? And meaning because we were trying to do an autopsy on it after the fact, so to speak, like because basically Molly put the kibosh on it. And so Jason never made it with me down to Venice. And Venice, I mean, even you and Mom showed up to Venice, right? But for some reason, because Molly had the leverage of Kayla and bank accounts and so forth, and wielded it over Jake, Jake caved, and so he didn't go. And so I'm bringing Jake to the Venice. Damn it! Here's my painting of Jake. Here's his asses. I'm taking him to the damn beach. The damn beach. Just taking him to the beach. But so those were the kind of motivated ideas, and but I like the idea of just putting some of them out to sea also, so he's not pocketed. This whole idea of even ashes being shared and divvied and complement this is a psychological twist in my mind that I don't, it's like, hey, when someone dies, let's just, dry freeze them and cut up little bits and then pass out all the little bits to everyone they know. We'll keep the large chunk and we'll put that large chunk in a box and then we'll bury the large chunk, but we're just going to, disperse everyone that knew him gets a chunk, a little dry freeze chunk of something of this dead person. So there's something like, yeah, like the TV said, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. But in any case, that's my long reason for that. But because you like the ritual, you oscillate over the ritual of Christmas and certain ritual function. And I said, well, your marriage itself is a religious function that is also a societal functioning. Then
Well, I mean, some marriages are and some aren't. I mean, they're still ritualized, but some of them are are separated from religious ceremony. Okay.
Well, the virgin white.
Well, I'm talking about uh, two people getting married by a justice of the peace
Yeah.
or something like that instead of by a
Yeah.
person of the cloth, a minister or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they separate they maintain the marriage in the process, but they leave out any religious reference. Okay, when you're getting married by somebody who's not a priest or ordained minister or whatever, or by I forget what they call that.
Oh.
The honchos in the Jewish faith,
Rabbis,
but
I guess.
yeah, that. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, go ahead.
No. I don't have a go ahead. The whole, because see, so there's some themes in the Bible where it's incumbent upon, or maybe it's Book of Mormon, but it's incumbent upon people to bring other people to God, come to God, right? Like, we're going to proselytize, we're going to convince, we're going to get you there, right? And even sons to fathers and fathers to sons and all this bit of business, right? That that at one point in my religious, getting into the waters of it, I thought it's incumbent upon me to bring you closer to a religious position, but you'd never see it on me, and I don't believe I've waved that banner in front of you, because ultimately I don't think it's when people attempt to convert other people to a religion, it's well, put it this way. I don't actually think people ever convert to the same religion. I don't actually think, being a Christian is, or being a Muslim is kind of like a patch. It's kind of like being a club member. It's a uniform. But if you whittle down amongst Christians into how they hold their belief, how they, because I don't whittle down too many on too many Muslims to know, and I'm not well versed in that. But so if you whittle into Christian folks, you can take practically any two Christians, two Mormons, two people of the same faith, and if you scrutinize why they believe what they believe and what it is they believe about what they believe, you're going to find a difference. You're going to find a difference there, and then all you have to do is fashion. And so my point of all that is that I don't believe that those that remain ignorant to the Bible are more viewed less by any possible power, supernatural power, supernatural entity, something like that. Uh, because the variability of all humans is the shoot, meaning apparently, unless I'm wrong and I've erred in my life and I should have been going into science or anything to reverse, physics and do neg entropy and reverse time and stop death, right? Otherwise, it appears that our mortality is, it's what's coming, right? The limit of your mortality. And so I figure that anyone that believes that the rules set forth about how one is to code their life and behave in their life is an expression to the powers that be, if you grant it over that there's powers to be, right? Has any real ill effect, and yet it's part of the indoctrination. It's part of the text itself that suggests that you're supposed to bring more people into the fold. But you do your taxes, you do your receipts, you keep your house in order, you keep your behavior not, you're not obstinate, and you're not evil, and you're not, meaning you've already accorded your life in this approximal, right, in this, the you're approximating a good religious guy just by not being, you know, I don't know, a murderous, sinning, wretched, hedonistic shitbag, you know, and your accounting is fine, and so you've accorded yourself. That's what I was going to tell you, by the way, is at this coffee shop a couple days ago. And there was this lady, right? And I thought maybe she's 25. She said she's 35, right? She was kind of tiny, and she wore glasses, and they were kind of fisheye glasses. But the thing about her is she would talk to me like this, like, and then kind of like stare that way and go, and she'd do this a lot, like, and I don't know, and maybe it's kind of like this, and I don't know, and maybe it's kind of like that. And anyway, that just her with these glasses on looks like, and I told her, I said, you look like my dad when he was a little kid. And that's how I looked at her. I looked at her as a young you, or my projection of how you may have looked just from old photos, right? Holding these glasses on, kind of like, and she was very unassuming, and she was talking about how she had autism and her kid was like 6 and in Mensa or something like that, right? Some genius level kid or something like that. And just her mannerisms and the way in which you might have been more. I don't know. If I was your parent, I don't know how I would have seen you in all of your iterations, right? As a young kid going through eyewear, how you adjusted or dealt with stuff. I wouldn't know, but anyway, all I know is when I saw her, I thought I felt like I was talking to a young version of you somehow in a feminine form, and until her teeth came out, she only had one tooth in the center, and she had lost a bunch of her teeth. Yeah, and obviously, nobody's anyone else. Anyway, so I don't know what to. I don't know what you make of your. I mean, I guess the word is eschatology, right? The salvation of the soul, right? Because for you, salvation of the soul is not a thing, because there is no disembodied soul. There's just you as a complete unit, I guess, in your mind, that's just going through time.
Well, that's somewhat simplistic, but I think my current philosophy about afterlife and all that kind of stuff is a sort of agnosticism.
Yeah,
It
but
could be. I'll concede that it may be possible,
yeah, yeah,
but I have my doubts.
right, right. Well,
That's what an agnostic about.
But then the Bible even has the doubting Thomas, right? And Thomas follows Christ through all these other previous miracles and stuff, and yet he still at the end doubts that this guy is Christ. Oh, here was another thing I heard.
So it's not a hole
And the hole in his side, so there was this argument that I also heard, which was really great, that I had never heard before just a few months ago, that said when they said Christ came out of the tomb after being crucified and taken and put in the tomb, right? They said when he came out, no one recognized him as Christ. And I thought, oh, that's interesting because somebody said it wasn't Christ, it was somebody else that was crucified that lived. And they said they purposely, where Thomas sticks his finger in the side is not in a vital organ. So they were first arguing, well, if Christ did live, they took him down early and they stabbed him in a non-vital organ, right, on the side, and that was there. And then the next argument was a devil's advocate on the inside. No, this would be a devil's advocate argument on the inside of a doubting Thomas argument. Sorry, that's why the TV annoys me, is because I'll map it onto what I'm saying. But okay, and so what that does. So somebody was suggesting that the reason they didn't recognize Christ when he came out of the tomb is because it wasn't Christ; it was somebody else. It was another fellow that didn't die, right? But he was stabbed in a non-vital organ, and so I had never heard people atheists go into the Bible and suggest that Christ was a real guy and he was really crucified, but he didn't really resurrect because it was this other guy, and the reason we know that is because no one recognized him. And I thought that was an interesting thing. Anyway, but okay, so you're agnostic on it, and then another thing would be, to the extent that you didn't quest to find God, right? That's how the Bible would put you, or push back, like, well, those who seek will find. If you knock on the door, so to speak, it will open. Something like that, right? And so that these are all haunts that come from where, upon your life's analysis, you're still an agnostic gentleman.
Well, see, I didn't always fit that category. See, I mean, I was the one, because when my parents moved out to Utah,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I probably told you this before, but their nearest Methodist church was 25 miles away, and they didn't have a car for several years.
Oh, wow.
My dad got around. They had a kind of a modified, like I don't know whether you call it a bus service or a modified taxi service or something. They had a multi-seated, kind of a minibus kind of a thing that traveled between East Carlin and Price.
Uh-huh.
It's called the Arrow Auto Line. And they used to, because a lot of people didn't have cars.
Okay.
In the early 40s and mid 40s.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I'm just weirded how he got out here with that. I mean, they had a car to get out here, didn't they?
Well, no, they came on. They
came on a train. Okay, just checking. Okay.
Anyway, so a lot of people didn't have cars, so they were using public. Well, they didn't have a formalized public transport system. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Except for school buses, and that was just for kids busing to school if they lived outside of a certain distance from where the school was. They had a school bus there that took kids to school, right?
Right.
Okay. But they had this little, it was like a stretch limo, you might say, an older version that held about, oh, I don't know, 8 people. And it went back and forth between East Carbon and the Price area.
Okay.
And people would ride that down there in order to have access to more.
Price was the bigger city.
Well, yeah, access to more things and bigger and more varied places to shop and all that kind of stuff than what we had at the East Carbon,
Right.
And that worked out really well for a lot of people who didn't have cars at first, and they had a small, and they had a service that picked people up, and drove them up to where they were working at the mines, because you could walk to them, but you'd spend a whole lot of time doing that,
Yeah.
And so they had this localized service with a small, I don't know if you call it a bus or a stretch limo or what the hell it was. It would pick people up.
Right.
And it would take them to work until more people, when they finally had enough money saved up, they could actually go buy a car.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And as more people got cars, more people came to live there. And then they had, and they had to have everything that goes along with cars. You gotta have that gas station, you gotta have auto repair place and all that kind of stuff. And that's how the whole place gradually grew over time. I remember that there were people riding some sort of public transport up to the coal mines from the residential area,
Right.
And but as I was growing up, more and more people were getting cars. Some people even getting more than one car because mom's a nurse and she has to drive from here to Dragerton to where the nearest hospital was. And her husband got to drive up the canyon. There are ways to get to them.
Well, and you were telling me like one of your anecdotes about your dad once he started after he broke his leg in 3 places and he had the skull fracture in the mine that he was going into insurance, and you said once he was in insurance there were people knocking on your door trying to go in the basement to run a policy saying my kid just got a new car, we're getting a car for, and that yes, it sounds like
his main the whole gist of that insurance business was auto insurance.
yeah, because you said that life was given by the company. Life insurance was.
If you were killed in a mine accident or something like that, you were insured
What?
for that by the company that ran the mines.
I'm gonna grab another cup and actually see if I can turn down that background a smidge. Oh boy! See now the hip and structure is
It's
more
really easy
painful.
for me to tune that out because I've been doing it a lot longer.
I came in there last night and I snuck and grabbed it and did a little move.
Part of the issue there is that's not good. You're supposed to know better. Oh, let's see. What am I? Oh, I guess I don't have to worry about it yet. I've got something figured out that I want to take care of today, and I'm trying to recall what the hell it is. Oh, I know. Oh, I know what it is. I gotta for Wally and Kayla and you, I guess. Also, I was thinking I was just going to um, give cash.
Oh, that's fine.
I mean,
Can you put it in a bow?
I was thinking of putting it in a nice little card or something.
Oh, well, see if I go card hunting, like, hey, Christmas is for cards. And then everyone will get one of my postcards. And then,
Oh, yeah. True.
yes.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I get Molly a card and get Kayla a card that comes with an envelope. And then I just
Put some gob.
I just sign a little something there and put some green stuff in there, you know.
Yeah, well, no, that'd be fine. And seeing if I got you a card with cash, that would be ironic, right? We'll just do a transaction. Of course, yours would probably be higher than mine, but it'd be hilarious.
That's not a big worry on my part.
No, I don't know about that. You know, when you guys talk about senior living and the cost and the price of the house and all that, I keep thinking, you know, that the money, you know, perhaps pinching your belt is in order too. But
Well, the thing of it is, we don't. Mom was recently been talking about, you know, let's sell the house, downsize, and use the money that we get from selling the house to move into a senior living facility. You know?
yeah,
And I said, and I knew a guy at the senior center that did that, and he seemed to be quite happy with it. I ran into him one day at the senior center after he had moved out of his house, and I was looking at his place and I asked him what it was like, and he says, "Hey, it's great, you know, take care of everything."
Oh, what was that Vern or Chris?
It was Vern.
Or Al? Yeah, okay, Vern.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I never met Vern. I was even wondering if I met Shelky. I think I did meet her once, but
Kathy,
yeah,
you might have.
yeah. No, I think I may have once, but I've only been there. I don't know. Actually, you know, when I was in the nursing home, you guys had me over there more. I think that's when you started going, is when I was in the nursing home in Draper.
Okay.
Because I remember going over there once when I was in the wheelchair still, or maybe I was here and you guys brought me there. I just can't believe it's been 12 years since I did this.
Has it been 12 years since we've been going to the senior center? Maybe it has. I don't know. We used to go over there. Well, Mom didn't go too much in the mornings. I used to go in the mornings a couple days a week and get involved in a game of cribbage or, you know, something like that. Go over there one afternoon a week for a pinochle tournament and stuff like that,
Right.
you know. And you could always get a meal over there, except for dinner. You know, they close the kitchen down pretty much after they made lunch available.
Yeah.
If you wanted an evening meal, you got it somewhere else, you know. But you could get breakfast over there. I never did do that because hell, I almost had breakfast here, but I did have lunch over there several occasions.
Yeah, yeah, I ate over there once even. It was, but
But mom never eats breakfast anyway,
yeah, yeah.
and nowadays if she eats anything before 4 in the afternoon, it's amazing.
No, no. Well, she's up all night, Pat. But when I'm over here, she'll wake up at night and walk out, and or I'll walk into the kitchen to drink water or snack or just something bathroom. We chatted up a little bit, but I just know that she's awake at night, and
Mm.
so I mean it's just different sleep schedules. But
Yeah, I'm sure she must be up quite often at night because she sleeps so long during the day. And,
well, and I told her come Thursday, maybe she should double up on the oxy and go to the senior center and do pinochle. Just go make it happen. Because my concern is that she's not socializing enough. At least when you go to the store, you're talking to the cashier or random people, maybe, or
well, she maintains that a lot of the reason she doesn't go is it's uncomfortable for her physically to sit for that long after playing cards or whatever.
well, that's why the double up on the painkillers and then like you said, bring the pillow, probably something like a pillow behind her and a pillow on the chair. Because I don't know how these chairs are, and yeah, I'm sure it is uncomfortable, and yet it's kind of like even with me, the pain is high. If I don't move, the pain will increase. If there's a pain relief, just a minute or so after I start walking, I'll get pain relief, right? And then eventually, within not too long, I'll start getting pain for walking. And so my point though is that mom should move more often to
I know.
reduce her pain. If you exercise more or walk more, it might reduce your pain. Yeah.
Oh, thought I heard you talking about Molly out here.
I don't think we were talking about her.
I think the name came up once, but yeah, and I don't know. I haven't been able to get anybody to give me a rundown of what the rift is there between you and Molly.
Well, I gave you the rundown.
You did. Well, I
Yeah.
gave you your version.
Right, right. And
She hasn't given me one herself.
well, I thought you guys were all hanging out, and she's probably just not going to speak on anything. She's probably just going to do the regular, code over everything game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could be. I don't know. So, and that being said, and since that subject has been broached here, we can figure out uh, do any of the three of us want both of you here at the same time?
Well,
For Christmas?
I wish, I would like to. I'd like to be able to. I mean, not that I, like I said, have any significant gifts or even gifts for Kayla this year, and let alone if the rest of Brock and Ali or Kristen or whoever else came by. I don't know, right? And by the way, they're supposed to check on you guys to see whether or not that's okay, because a few months ago I went out to eat with Molly and Brock and Brad, and Brock was saying, "Oh, I want to go to I think it was Brock's birthday, right? And this was anyway, and Brock said, "Oh yeah, well Christmas will be great. We'll head out to Grandpa Phil's house there, and well, da, da, da." And Molly said, "Well, things are maybe a little different, and we're going to have to wait and see, to see how they feel around Christmas time. They don't want to get over." And then it was after that I started getting upset with Molly, right? And
Why are you oohing?
Dad was well.
She wants a treat.
Huh?
Do you guys want people over here for Christmas? And Dad was just asking me if I preferred to be in the same Christmas when Molly's here. And I mean, I guess my short answer is I don't particularly prefer it, but I think I can muscle it. I think I can come in and say, just avoid her like the plague, and then fiddle around in another room. But anyway, the whole point is, I'm sure it will be, you know,
You okay?
a little bit of a pain. I mean, I'm fine. I'm not going to get what I want from her. Is all I know. And she's, I'll if I get pissed, I'll just say it. Even when she picks up the people throw wrapping on the ground. When Molly picks it up, that's always pissed me off. Quit picking it up. Quit
Why?
picking it up. Because when I was a
You're
kid,
gonna plug that in?
when
What? Oh,
what are you plugging in?
Oh, the plug was coming out.
plug was
Oh.
not all the way in.
Well, my whole thing was, it's always bugged me, that Molly would pick up the stuff because to me, you're supposed to open all the shit and you have your big mess of wrapping everywhere and you kick through that for a while, right? That's the fun is you're kicking through all the wrapping. It's like evidence of the whole thing. Well, Molly's busy stuffing it in a bag the whole time, trying to clean up the joint. And I'm just like, God, it's just different. I mean, it's petty, but it's that's what I meant by she's just going to bulldoze and get her way anyway because Molly knows best, and it's just. But that I mentioned that once years ago, and it hasn't really come up again. But the situation it's just the little things. So maybe this year, if Molly's here and she starts picking it up, I can raise a stink.
You can just quit and just let her pick them up.
No. I can say, don't fucking pick that up. So what are you picking that up for? Right? Meaning I can be a prick. My goal isn't to be a prick. My goal is to get through it and not be a prick. But I also told her, I said, hey, I'm not going to bite my tongue anymore. Anytime you're going to try to get along, And I'm not trying to be an ass. It's just that if she's going to treat me the way she treats Jason or treated Jason, it's not going to happen anymore. And Jason's not the mediator, and I'm not trying to get her pissed off.
I
It's
don't think
that
we ought to have anything over here.
yeah, I mean perhaps the answer is don't have us all in the same room.
Or some on the eve and some on the day, maybe.
Yeah,
And
I come over on Christmas later, or Christmas Eve or something, and then tear it out.
the thing is,
But then that doesn't give me any time to hang with anyone else that's here.
though, that I figure now if she thinks, and I don't know if she thinks this or not, that because she's more or less an automatic invite,
Mm-hmm.
that Brock and Brad would be also.
Well, that's why she at dinner said we might have to check on that, right? Because she didn't know whether or not you or mom's health or desire at this time, because this is back in October, right? So it's a few months back. She didn't know whether or not you guys were up for it this year. A big crowd.
Actually, I'm not.
Well, and you might not want to see Brad or
Well, I don't have anything against them.
no, I know I don't.
You know, it's just that
It's
I prefer people who, now there are people who are, in my view anyway, who are automatically invited. You
mm-hmm.
and Jason and Molly when Jason was alive,
Mm-hmm.
which was true last Christmas.
We'll bring his ashes. There's some. Okay.
And that would also mean Molly was too.
Yeah.
But I think it probably, well, I figure because of the relationship, Molly and Kayla don't require an invitation.
Right. That's obvious.
But beyond that, I would prefer if Brock and Brad and their squeezes, whatever they've got. Well, Brad's, nobody can keep track of where he is from one week to the next.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned about him showing up. But, and I don't care. I don't mind if Brock comes over, but at least I'd like to know about it ahead of time because it's nice to get an idea of approximate number of people.
Sure.
So that we can be ready for them. I mean, it's not like we're putting on a big spread or anything, but I think we have some kind of food out here if we can, if it's just snack food for that matter. It's not supposed to be a big dinner anyway. It's supposed to be just a moderate gathering. And if I know who's coming, then I know how to best deal with it ahead of time.
Yes. Well, and I think that would be fine. Yeah. So
See, when I say Christmas time, my favorite event is December 26th.
that's what I meant by get you the catapult. I'll get you a time catapult and leap you over the day because then it's over. And you suggested that to just get you some sleeping pills, give them to you on Christmas Eve, let you sleep through all of Christmas, and then wake you up at the end on next day.
Well, I don't want to put all of that on my mom.
Oh no, I know. That the whole point. Even Molly picking up the mantle, right? Like she found. Well, I don't want to go into it again. It's just mom stopped wanting to do Thanksgiving and doing the turkey, and Molly picked it up, and it was all midway. And then this year, obviously, it wasn't midway, and then I realized I didn't get what I needed out of Molly, and so I ended up texting her all the questions and all of my statements in two different texts, right? Just to clear it out, like, hey, this is, including the Jason and Venice thing, right? And that being said, it's like, no, there's no response, I mean, I pissed her off, and she's,
No,
it doesn't matter.
I asked her what her main benefits with you.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Uh-huh.
And she said, because he called me a whore.
I said she's a pale attempt at a whore. And pale is what fail means in German. And I was doing an inference. And that's fine. That's fine. I figured when I did that, that would upset her too. But I think more directly, your question should have been, what was your issue with Mike? Not recently. What was your issue with Mike? Anyway, now I'll even outrightly put that right here. Right, pale equals fail in German, and pale attempt. Pale attempt, meaning this is all like pale attempt at a. Why would I say that? Well, A, I was drunk, but B, I said that because I was trying to just tell me what your beef was with me over all these years that I've clocked just over 3 hours with Kayla in 19 years. And I do realize that Kayla and I took about a 5-minute merry-go-round ride in Liberty Park, and Jason and Molly were on the ground at the time. So that was a little bit of a alone time. I think Kayla was 4. Yeah. Anyway, so that might actually put me closer to 7 minutes in 19 years. But that being said, obviously Molly isn't a whore, but that's why I said it's an attempt. Why are you calling? To me, it's a reflection. You think your husband is going to go cheat on you, and so you control him, right? And so to me, this is a reflection, right? Meaning she's reflecting her own sense of infidelity, right? And I even asked her, so it's like, and it was also like, you're just going out of your way. You're just going out of your way to take someone's money, my brother's money, extort him for his money, give him lunch money, to hold him back. Meaning, a whore is somebody that takes money and and has sex, right? And so I'm like, somehow in your marriage, you've extorted money from Jake and his labor, threatened him over all this years. Somehow I'm not allowed to be in his life in any way, and uh, and uh, and so pale attempt is referring to Jake, right? You're a pale attempt at a whore. You're not a whore. You're just attempting to be one because you've ripped all this money from Jake. That's how I looked at that, right?
You're writing all this on the black box.
I'm just that pale attempt at a whore. That site says pale equals fail, attempting to extort Jake. That's a root of that call. So once again, though, if Molly ever actually wanted to sit down, this is my issue with Molly, right? Another one, right? Like with you and the two of us, we can sit down one on one and talk. I can sit down with Mom one on one and talk.
Except we're not in the expensive amount of time.
What's that?
I said you can sit down and talk with Mom,
Yeah.
but it's going to be fairly brief.
Right. Well, meaning I can talk to Mom at length at times. Oh God. In any case, the problem what Oh, what was I going to say? I got off track for a second.
At any rate, while you've explained it to me about that, what you actually said,
Mm-hmm. Well, and I didn't call it. Oh, this is what I was going to say. That my problem with Molly is that Molly will only meet me in a group. The only time I meet Molly alone, the group is somewhere in the background. Just like that. That's the whole thing. There's kind of this helicopter thing, right? And the only Jason sent me upstairs to ask her or to request that we go to Venice Beach many years ago, and Molly just laid into me, and Jake said, "Well, that's the buzzsaw. Go meet the buzzsaw." It's just not gonna fucking happen. And Jake wasn't wrong. Anyway, the point though is that um, the point that I'm making is that Molly won't talk with me one on one, and so it's always in a group. If I address Molly in a group, she'll defer. Oh well, let's not talk about this now. Or Kayla's here, or she'll use the context to divert the topics, and that's why I'm like, I request of you to sit down with me for a few hours alone. We can be alone in public amongst strangers. I just don't want you amongst people that you can use as deference tools, right? And meaning because ultimately I don't think I'm actually going to hold. I don't really hold anything against Molly. Like me, Molly's got her reasons for doing everything that she's done. She's got her reasons. I just want to know her reasons, and I even think her reasons are probably reasonable and forgivable. To me, it's just this vast cloud of, well, kind of like, I don't know why I turned out the way I am or how I was raised, and I can question things with you and mom about things, and it's generally like there's more to our past than I can even remember, let alone question. And so it's an absurdity. But the thing is when Jake dies, when people die, uh, it left this gulf of an absent, and the question marks became more important. And then the whole, we're gonna go through a Mormon burial, we're gonna get Jake, just all the moves Molly made outside of me. Even I said, Molly, why was I not on the list of speakers? Question mark, right? I just gave her my whole list. Even the last time I was here, I spent about 4 hours writing 2 emails, and one of them was questions and one of them was statements. And one of my questions is, why was I not slated to be a speaker? Like it was literally, Monica came down. She was staying with me before Jake's funeral, right? And it was about 36 hours before the ceremony that I decided I'm going to get up. I'm going to get up there anyway, and I'm going to speak. But I didn't know. I was more trying to just figure out, like, God, my sister-in-law's even blackballing me out of speaking at my own brother's funeral. Like, that's how I looked at her, right? She's blackballing me. She blackballed Jake out of Venice. She blackballed me out of hanging out with my niece. Now she's blackballing me out of my brother's death. Like, to me, I took that as an offense. Meaning I took it as an offense, right? And that's why when I got up there, I pleaded with her for greater communication. And so, and then the night when we were all coming down from Snowbird, that $360 something thing, I was just, the other email was explaining point by point. I was already practically broke. You take Doug not to get me, you take Doug past me. Then you decide to go to this very wealthy thing. It's fine. You bought it. I drive all the way up. Bro, my gas tank is almost empty. I'm under $20 in my account, right? I got to drive all the way up there. Mom, then, well, I'm not under $20. I'm somewhere around $35 in my account, right? And at the same time, we're up there, and we pay $364 for a quite mediocre meal with a great view, right? And on the way in, mom, because I tell mom, I'm like, I don't even know if I can get back because of gas. Mom pulls out $60 to hand to me. And Molly's initial reaction, Faye, put that money away. Put that money away. And mom doesn't put it away because Molly doesn't know what she's talking about. And she hands it to me, and then Molly goes, "Oh, that money's for Mike." Well, of course it's for Mike. Who else would it be for? Molly says. So I'm writing all this to Molly also, my point by point. Like, okay, so first you're trying to control my mom again, just like when your birthday. No, we're going to walk around this way. No, no, Faye. Yeah, we saw that. Come along, Faye. Nothing to be seen there. Nothing that you're interested in is to be looked at. Let's just do it my way. Come along, Faye. And I'm like, that's when I was like, Molly, I think you're bringing your work home with you, and it's offensive. And you're not going to treat my folks like a pet, and everything doesn't revolve around you. And anyway, and so then we're coming back that night. I raced down to the bottom of Big Cottonwood to go to the gas station to get. First of all, I have to walk. I don't park. I also have to walk up that hill, right? You guys are parked down. I have to walk up the hill to my car. So that was slightly unpleasant, but who gives a shit, right? It's just Snowbird, Mike, get along, right? It's like, in any case, meaning even the lay of the land wasn't thought out with, hey, we got a gimp in the family, right? Me being the gimp. Meaning Molly chose a place with a vast landscape. What was I going to pay for valet parking? No. That was the whole point, right? The whole point came down to, Molly, you're unaware of my financial situation and you're busy making decisions. Even getting that far, it became a patronizing thing, right? And so anyway, I think I explained this to you. And so then before that, I even got that off, she was busy saying, well, we're going to go to the aquarium tomorrow with Doug. That's a $28 ticket. So I'm typing all this out to her. Then you're trying to go to another thing. And you offered me a ticket. Molly did say, I'll buy you a ticket. But I told her, I get money from the government, from renting, from art sales, and from gifts from you guys. That's basically my income. And I said, besides art sales, I don't like any of it. I don't prefer any of it. I don't go out of my way to get it. I don't like it, right? And so I don't want you to pick a fancy place like an aquarium. Oh, well, Kayla really wants to go. No, Kayla doesn't want to go. You want to go. You proposed it to Kayla. Kayla said yes. So then the next thing was, I said, Molly, you use Kayla as a pawn. Meaning, Kayla never contacts any of us. But if Molly wants something, Kayla will contact us. So sure enough, Kayla contacted Doug, and at the threat that Mike was going to rearrange the plan and had Doug go there. So then Doug's last day here, I am at night saying, please do not co-opt my brother on all 3 days away from me. Please do not offer to take him to the airport. please do not blackball me now away from you and hanging out with Doug. That, just because this might be around here, right? Molly I'll just call it blackballed Mike. Always. Seemingly. That's what it seems like. Now, and Jake will even say, Molly will, and I hate that this is a gossip column, Molly will be nice to everyone in the front, but as soon as she gets home, doesn't matter if it's you, mom, me, anyone, she'll shit talk everyone. That's Jake. Jake says that's how she operates. Jason he bit his tongue around Keller, gets home, starts bitching about Keller. Then Jake doesn't want to be this two-faced person, so Keller shows up. He's like, fuck you, Keller. I'm tired of your shit. You knew how Jake was, right, Jake? He'd only hold it back so long, and then he'd snap. That was with all of us. Anyway, that's the end of that. I was going to say, though, so back to theology a little bit, which is a weird skip. But since I'm on the box drawing thing, so I send Kayla words of the day, right? Words of the day. Now I don't do it all the time, but that's just what I call it, word of the day. Now, in that painting I did of Jake, right, it had the God light in it. I call it God light, meaning clouds that kind of make the light come out in these tines. Okay, right. And then there's the highway from here. Okay, let's say there's the highway from your house to my house, and then there's the tangent where you could take 215 over and get to where Jake and Molly live, right? Somewhere in that direction. So this is after Jake died, by the way. So there's a song that goes, it's more than words, right? More than words is all you have to think to let me know the way you feel. It's more than words, right? So this song, its theme is show me, don't do something more than words. Okay, so since there's words of the day, and then I'm driving from your house, and this song all of a sudden comes on that says more than words. I'm like, more than words. And it's about at the intersection where I would turn off to I-215. Well, all of a sudden, over that land, the sun's going down and there's all this God light coming out. So I decide I'm going to turn, because more than words is referring to that who I only send words to, which meant Kayla. Well, Kayla's at Arctic Circle. Hook a left, head to Arctic Circle. I stayed in line. Now this I guess counts also. So I am being a little bit like I pull in the drive-in to Arctic Circle, and I'm following a couple cars, and I'm like, hey, blah blah blah, I need this, and can Kayla bring it to me, right? Because Jason would say a bunch of outlandish stuff like, I want Kayla to bring it, right? So he's just having fun. So anyway, I just kind of mentioned, can you have Kayla? So Kayla shows up to the window, drops it off. No cars pull up behind me for almost like 8 minutes. And so I'm just sitting there talking to her through the window about her job and about everything. And it just felt this little triangulation between the godlight, the directionality, and the song felt to me like Jake was telling me, go visit Kayla. The same way that I let the TV map on as a single meaning unit. Meaning, I told you yesterday, I'm not crazy anymore, right? Like I'm not chasing fragments. It doesn't mean that I'm not off my rocker. What it means is that I've folded in all of the extrinsic data to match what's going on, where a normal reasonable person blocks that off and just has a dialogue where the dialogue is right here. It's not about anything outside of it. But that brings me back to what I was saying at the very beginning of our discussion on this box,
Holy shit.
which is the circle of everything. The totality of everything is found outside of itself. Meaning all of the elements, we can name all these elements on the table. We can talk about everything we've talked about today. Oh, Molly theology and this and that, and your parents and Episcopalian and Dragerton and go over everything. We can point to it as abstracts. But the TV in the background, for you, what a package. It's indifferent. It's ancillary. It has no meaning, right? They're talking about a package in Blue Bloods Black there, right? For me, the meaning of the conversation is also found outside of itself. So just between the two of us, that's you, this is me, or this is me, and we're intersecting in our conversation. The dialogue, let's say, is contained within this rail right here, right? We're talking within that rail. My point is, for me, it's not merely the conversation, it's also events that are meaningful folding back into and mapping on to the contents of the conversation. So that's why these symbolic things like, oh, that light that matches Jake's God light in combination informed me to go in this particular direction. And that's how I got up to Montana too. But at that time I couldn't wrap my mind around the information. So anyway, what I'm saying is this: another theological argument is that not just items in the universe and everything, it's everything. All meaning is intelligent, and that intelligence, if you will, maybe I shouldn't land on intelligence, is meaningful. And that's why I thought somehow you doing all the crossword puzzles all these years that you would find. And I asked you about this once, and you didn't seem to agree with it, but that all of the crossword puzzles that you were reading and where they were intersecting had, on occasion, I'm sure you found their connective properties to be an interesting thing. Like, oh, that word crossed with this word, or oh, that theme of that topic is like this. Like that, you would find that maybe that's your indulgence in crossword puzzles is exactly how the words are meshed in this way, and not merely just a puzzle, right? Like you like crossword puzzles more than you like Sudoku. And so my point is that Sudoku is bland and numeric, but it might have some similar properties as a crossword puzzle. But there's something in a word puzzle that you get something out of. But now, whether or not you think there's more meaning to it, same thing. But like I said, even with Molly, like it's just question marks, right? I'm upset because the way I'm reading Molly after Jake's death and before Jake's death, but especially after Jake's death, I'm paying attention to what she's doing to you, doing to me, doing to Mom, I'm just paying attention. And I'm upset by its treatment towards me. Towards you guys, it's flowery, it's nice, it's polite, it's giving, she generally puts off that air. Generally, that's the air she wants the rest of the world to take on.
Who?
Molly. She wants to be looked at as nice and caring and giving and so forth. But the subterfuge, what's motivating her to treat me like a second class family member? What motivates her to have Jake tell me she's double talking everybody? Right now, that's past tense. Now she doesn't have anyone like Jason to talk to. She probably offloaded a bunch onto Kayla, and then that stopped. And I'm just saying, like, and it doesn't matter. Like, when I leave, you guys can talk about me or my concerns or whatnot, but you guys don't do it in some gossipy way. No, I know, but that's the thing. It's like it's not apparent that that's the case, but that's why I'm like, because I was just telling Dad, I said, why did Molly blackball me from being a speaker at Jake's funeral? Why did I have to go? Why did I have to barge in and force it like I did? I was
Force
off
what?
the list
Huh?
at Jake's ceremony. I was not on the list of speakers. I barged up there. Molly's the one that arranged it. She didn't even let me speak. Why? Why was it Mormon? Why am I barred? Why is she doing this? Why is she those are my questions. Once again, this isn't the Molly thing. Dad had asked, because dad said, I asked Molly, and Molly said, because Mike called me a whore. And I said, I didn't call her a whore. I called her a pale attempt at a whore. And that had, see, Mom laughs at that.
Failed attempt at a whore.
Meaning, because, and I was telling Dad, I'm like, because she's extorts Jake's money and keeps him around and using him for X, Y, and Z. And I'm like,
She digs money?
I said she extorted money from Jason. Meaning that when Jason would go, God, man, Molly, she got into the bank account. She took it all away. Sorry, last makes a edge. It's a bit. How do you phrase it? And I'm not trying to make Jake sound like a clot or anything when I do that impression, but he'd say, like, because we set up that bank account. And then Molly got found out about it and went in and got it all out. And then that whole, like Jason, Molly gave me a $5 to buy lunch for my drive up to Evanston. That was my lunch money. I'm broke. She's got all the money and she keeps buying all this shit and I get nothing. I get $5. Oh, this, next time. Oh, well, she gave me $11 this time. And I was like, you're raising Jake like a kid? Meaning it's just my sideline critique, right? And I said, now that Jake's gone, Jake can't mediate. Jason's not the sounding board. And so then when Molly starts pulling all this shit since Jake's funeral, all the way to Doug being here, that by the time Thanksgiving came around, I was just like, you're once again telling me that you're going to bring a dinner over. You're telling me the time. And on the surface, that should be nothing, because that was nothing, right? That's normal. But I made it something. Like, look, once again, Molly, you did not even ask me if 2 o'clock would be okay. Meaning, you're busy telling me instead of asking me.
Well, she told all of us.
No, I know. That's when she was doing it. And like I said, I made it a bit the issue, and I was explaining it all to Dad about Doug coming up and Dad's birthday, and I explained it all to Molly in text later too, right? So maybe Molly's actually like okay with everything because she's got, at least I laid it out to her in text, right? I mean, I went off on her. I lost my shit on her in text earlier, but then recently I didn't. I just said, look, these are all the questions I have. These are the things that I am seeing, and there's that, like amen, right? And so that's when I thought, look, I can show up during Christmas. Molly can show up during Christmas. We can all be together. I'm not gonna run out. She can run out. I'm not gonna try to provoke her. But I'm also not gonna put up with her shit. I just can't. I'm not Jake. She's not going to treat me the way she's treating
Well, what
me.
do you suppose we ought to do for Christmas?
Let's go have a fa ra 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 Chinese dinner. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know what to do, dear.
I hadn't thought about that one for a long time.
Oh man, my knees hurt.
I think what I'll do, I'm gonna get Molly a box to put her wig in, her fake tits, and her fake eye contacts. Like here, Molly, here's a box, and you can put your contacts, your augmented boobs, and your wig, and all of your makeup in. You can put all the things that are the front that you're putting out in this box over here.
Oh, seeing that shit, dude.
I'm just telling you guys that. I'm not really going to do it, but I mean that's it's really nothing. Like I said, you're not busy getting involved with Roger's kids.
No, we don't get involved with them.
Roger doesn't get in, as much. Jason and I went down and talked, and Roger only sees like my involvement in Kayla. Kayla just happens to be my only niece, right? And I even told Molly in the text. I said, look, when I moved back from LA in 2004, I said it was for exactly two reasons. One, Tracy Kirkham was having a brain surgery at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured that my brother could probably use a hand in trying to raise his niece or his daughter, my niece. Even Molly, look, how can I help? Jake doesn't know what he's doing, right? And so I said that, right? Like I told that to Molly. That was one of the last things. Like, look, I came here for that, right? I came here to do that because Venice was awash. I was lost my shit. It was post second abortion. I was losing all my mind down there. I'd already worked at eBay up here, gone down there, got Tracy Bray out of my life and out of my hair and out of my head and out of everything. And then that was like my recovery time. And then I come back here. Of course, like what motivates me is not what motivates anyone else. What motivates everyone else is their own world.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. I'm just telling you guys all that because that's, once again, and Malia and I both agree that we don't actually know each other. But then she said something like, I was made to not talk to you. And I thought, oh, did Jake say don't interact with Mike? Question mark. Like I brought that up. Why did you say that? Why did you say I wasn't what was an obstacle, that I'm not an obstacle? An obstacle to what? Question mark. And then I said, do you have designs on my parents' health care, their real estate, their monies? Is that what I'm an obstacle to? Question mark.
But see, again, I think you're reading a lot into.
No, I know. But yeah, I am, but they're questions, meaning those are authentic questions. If she wants to sit down and answer those questions, like maybe Christmas dinner will be just, you guys will witness an interrogation and a witness on the stand.
God.
Wait a minute. Dinner? What are you talking about?
Well, not dinner, no dinner. I just mean like, whatever we're doing, throwing around. I'm kidding. Like I said, I'm just going to shut my mouth on everything. But I do have to admit that it was all,
Well,
Anyway, that's the end of this.
sounds like it could be.
Let's see. Yeah. I'll go back to my wee bit of business here.
We could go over to Little America and have dinner.
See, now that might be nice.
Well, wait a minute. On Christmas or day before Christmas?
Well, who knows? I don't even know what
I
they're
don't know.
open for. And I Dad wants to just be catapulted to the 26th when he knows that there's any ire going on. He's like,
He
like,
wants to be.
like give Dad sleeping pills on Christmas Eve and let him sleep through Christmas. Then he
That's
can.
a good idea. Give me some of those too.
Yeah. Well,
I know what we'll do. We'll call up Molly the night before and say, "Get ready, we're coming over to your place tomorrow."
right. That would, yeah. Christmas is at your place, Molly. There we go. We'll see how this all goes. All right, I'm going to type in my bit of beeswax here, and then shut down. Then the get on to what's next today.
What the hell time is it? Oh, shit.
It's time to bid farewell. I think, or maybe it's not. There we go.
Okay, now I
Boom.
got this.
Heavens.